Hell, you could say that 10,000 times and it still wouldn't be enough.
It fires me up, man.
I love it. Say it one more time.
Shake it back!
Does that feel good?
Yeah, it rhymes. They're both verbs.
Next up, we have the Las Vegas Raiders. They drafted a tight end last year, and they said, why don't we just run that back and get Brock Bowers at 13?
For what this team is, for what their head coach is, I freaking love it.
Yeah,
this team is going to smash you in the mouth. They want to hurt you. They want to put you in the dirt, and that is a team that needs two awesome tight ends.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can't hate it. That's for sure. It seems you look at this offense, and I mean, I think there's a lot to like here. I mean, I think Colton Miller's decent.
He's pretty good. He's pretty dang good.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably the wrong word, but yeah, I like Colton Miller a lot. Then Jackson Powers Johnson, loved him out of Oregon. I think a lot of people did. Get him at 44. I thought that was pretty good.
It'll be interesting to see him playing guard because he did play some guard, but I think his footwork was a bit of a question at guard.
Yeah, I thought
that'll be interesting to see play out.
I thought it was crazy that they drafted him to play guard, but maybe it was just one of those, just like, he's the best player on the board at 44.
Well, honestly, so as I was doing draft prep on him, it was kind of like the question started to creep into my mind of, is someone really going to play this guy at center? Because he can be a really good guard at that size. Yeah. And the strength that he has and the athleticism he has. Like he was at like 340 something pounds at the Senior Bowl. He's massive. And centers don't get paid. Guards just got paid a ton. Like guard always made some sense for him. I just didn't really say it until after it happened.
Yeah, so you got Brock Bowers here, the wide receiver 3. I like that. I mean, I think he's a catch first tight end. But
yeah, I think they're going to run a lot of 12. And really
we have Jacoby Myers, and I mean Davante Adams is still one of the best wide receivers in the league. And then, I mean, it's really just about Aiden O'Connell here. I mean, I think that's what this team comes down to. You look at this defense. I mean, Maxx Crosby, I think is top 5 defense player in the league. Absolutely incredible. Tyree Wilson's got to show more than he showed last year, but I mean, I think the potential is still there. I think he showed flashes last year, really being able to be a breakout guy. So, yeah, I mean, and then you look at some of the guys they went and picked up, like Cody Whitehair for depth, Harrison Bryant because they needed a tight end, Gardner Minshew, like so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
Like if Aiden O'Connell doesn't get the job done, at least Gardner Minshew will throw the ball to Davante Adams 40 times a game. He ain't scared.
No, not at all. This defensive line has pure game-wrecking potential between Maxx Crosby, Christian Wilkins, and Malcolm Koonce. Koonce is really underrated. He's a good football player.
And Christian Wilkins was a monster last year.
Yeah, Christian Wilkins is just a monster. And same, Maxx Crosby is a pirate. He is a Raider. He looks more like his team's mascot than any other player in the NFL.
He looks more like the team's mascot than the team's mascot.
Yeah. But once Antonio Pierce took over, this defense shifted. Like they started doing some really fun stunts, some really fun different alignments on their D line. They had Tyree Wilson playing nose tackle on passing downs, and I thought Tyree Wilson was a 3-tech when he came into the league. I still think he is, and they started getting him there, and he started getting some more pressure. Still not great against the run, but this D line has a chance to be something really special, especially once you factor in the linebackers. Divine Diablo is one of the more interesting players in the league, in my opinion. When I watch him, this guy is so long and so rangy and freaky athletically. Like, he's not your standard linebacker who's going to stand in the box and shed and make tackles. But the way they use him is so interesting.
You liked Eichenberg out of the draft too, didn't you?
What was that?
You liked Eichenberg coming out of the draft too, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, Tommy Eichenberg. He's more your old school stack and shed linebacker. Yeah. He's fun.
He's Antonio Pierce.
No, he is. But I think this front seven is going to be fun.
Yeah, there's a lot to like about this team. It's really just the quarterback position. And, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised but I wouldn't be surprised if we see an Aiden O'Connell here. or a Gardner Minshew here. So it'll be interesting to say the least. I mean, I felt like for sure this was a team that was like primed to go get a Justin Fields. Like
So
it's
did I.
crazy.
But then they hired the second they hired Luke Getsy, I knew it wasn't happening though.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, Luke Getsy already lost one job because Justin Fields can't run his offense. Why would he risk another?
True.
And so one thing that's really interesting with this team, I was thinking through this the other day. The last 2 years, the Bears are one of the best teams in the NFL on scripted drives. So the first like 2-3 drives of the game, the Bears were really good under Luke Getsy. Luke Getsy was really good at finding those weaknesses and getting early points on the board. If you can get this D line a lead, they can eat. And the rest of the game, it might not even matter.
And as far as somebody who can run a system, I mean, I think that is what Aiden O'Connell is. I think he's got
some tape today. I was surprised.
Yeah, I think he's got a little bit of Kirk Cousins in him, where I think he's going to be limited by athletic ability, but I think the head is there for him. I think he can make all the throws, and I think if he can just find some sort of consistency with a team, I think he can maybe not put up the numbers Kirk Cousins puts up, but be in that Baker Mayfield tier that we talked about last week.
Yeah, I mean, man, I'm still shocked by these defensive stats. This team, like that D line just ate for them last year, and like their secondary lost like Amik Robertson. I wish they brought him back because I like him a lot.
Yeah.
And the corners are really the question I have for them. Looking at the quarterbacks here, I mean,
but you look at the division. You look at the division, and it's like, is there really like? Yeah, the Chiefs have a ton of speed and Patrick Mahomes, but the division as a whole, like, are you really looking like?
That's a good point.
That you're terrified about any of these receivers?
That's a good point. You're not terrified of them, and you got strong safety play behind them. Let me get over there. Like you have some really strong safety play between Trevon Moehrig and Marcus Epps.
I like Moehrig a lot,
and I like Nate Hobbs a lot at corner. It's just outside of that, I have questions. Jack Jones showed some nice stuff, but he hasn't played a lot. Ja'Cory Bennett's young. Maybe there's something more there, but he didn't do a lot with his snaps that he did get last year. And they drafted DeCamari and Richardson in the 4th round. I think there's some upside there. Super long football player who can.
I like to have him coming out.
Find the football. Let me talk O-line for a second because this is this is a really thin O-line. But they're good if they're healthy. Like this is, I think the success of this team is going to hinge on whether this O-line stays healthy. Because the second you put Cody Whitehair,
right?
Yeah, the second you put him in the lineup, you're in trouble.
Yeah,
and he's your 6th offensive lineman here. DJ Glaze, a rookie,
I think for a depth piece, that's not bad.
Be playing. Whitehair's washed. He's done.
You think?
He's not there anymore. I don't say that lightly. There were times where he was just getting bullied last year. Like,
I mean, if he has to play, it's only Chris Jones.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I think DJ Glaze is in there before Cody Whitehair is, and maybe there's something more there. But the one thing that really scares me here outside of quarterback is the depth of that offensive line room. But man, outside of that, this roster is surprising.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that was my biggest takeaway when I started going through these rosters. I'm like, man, there's a lot to like here. And then
guess what Zamir White, Zeus's 40 was? I looked this up today.
Out of Georgia. I felt like he was super fast in college, but I don't feel like we see it, that kind of burst. But
he hasn't played much.
4.39?
4.4. That is really fast for a running back. Like this.
No, he was crazy electric in Georgia, I felt like.
I think he's going to be a big, like a surprising player this year if their O-line stays healthy, because they're going to open up some gap runs. That
I really like Dylan Laub too.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot of potential out for this.
I don't have any hope in Mattinson at all. I mean,
no. I mean,
but I think it's going to be
Laub is going to get more of a chance than Madison.
Yeah, I agree. Amir Abdullah's still there.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
all of his 89 yards last year.
Nebraska legend.
And then they got your boy Michael Gallup.
Oh, technically. But okay, so I look at this. I look at these futures, and immediately 6.5 wins. Like, even at minus 140, I'm hammering that. I think this team gets every bit of 7 wins. I just took a win away from them actually last time, so I think I'm going to have them at 6 wins. But
Their schedule is freaking brutal.
Yeah, it is. But looking at this, I mean, we're about to go through their schedule, and I'm going to put them at 6 wins. But I love this over 6.5. I don't hate playoffs at plus 310. I think 9-8 makes the playoffs in the AFC this year. I think it's going to be a brutal AFC. I wouldn't be surprised if a 9-8, 8-9 gets you in, and I think they can get there. So at plus 310, I don't hate playoffs. I wouldn't touch them on the division, AFC Championship, or Super Bowl. But I think as far as value goes, playoffs and the over on win total, I love both of those for this team.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. Like, if I'm going to bet anything, it's probably playoffs, just because the over is, like, it's like, what am I doing?
So heavily
minus 144, but like,
yeah,
it minus 144 over on 6.5 wins is probably your best chance to hit.
Man, are we sleeping on the Raiders?
They are strong in my consideration. Their schedule is the reason why
schedule and division. It's hard.
It's a brutal
schedule and division. Yeah, I agree. If they do an NFL realignment, I might not be sleeping on the Raiders, but as long as they're in a division with the Chiefs, gotta sleep on them.
It's close, man. Like I just think Antonio Pierce is gonna have that like Mike Vrabel effect of like, I just am football.
Yeah, they should bring Vrabel in.
Yeah, they should.
Okay, starting out, I have the Raiders winning week 1. I think they start hot. You have the Chargers. We just talked about that. They got Ravens week 2. We both got the Ravens here. I'll change this right here. I like the Panthers originally, but I think I'm going to give this to the Raiders. I don't think the Panthers get swept by this division, so I think the Broncos can take a loss to the Panthers there. Then we both have Raiders over Browns. Then the first game against the Broncos, you have the Broncos, I have the Raiders.
Yeah, I just think the Broncos are going to win some games in Denver early, and they're going to be against teams who have quarterback questions.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I get that for sure. The next up, we have Steelers, Raiders. I like the Steelers here. I think that's going to be a Justin Fields-led Steelers team by this point in the season. I like Justin Fields a lot. Give me the Steelers.
And I'm taking the Raiders there because I just think they're going to be a tough out at home, and they're going to be like scraping for wins because at this point I have them at 2-4, 2-3. So that them winning this gets them back to 3-3. I think they're just like barely hanging on.
Yeah, I really wanted to take the Raiders here
over the Rams.
Yeah, I might change it by the time we get to the NFC West preview, but for now I'm leaving at the Rams.
My thing is like I'm looking at this, and the teams that I have the Raiders beating all have quarterback issues.
Yeah.
Teams are not going to be able to score against them if they don't have a good quarterback. But I think Matt Stafford is going to poke holes in their secondary.
I think the Rams at home benefit a lot from just not a whole lot of teams being on that side of the country.
Yeah.
And long travel. The Raiders, that's a 20-minute flight?
Yeah. That's true.
So, but, and that D-line for the Raiders, I mean, I think that offensive line's still pretty weak, and I don't really know what Cooper Kupp's going to be this year. So, I mean, I think they match up pretty well. Then you also look at Matt Stafford, who...
So you're taking the Raiders here?
I think let's keep it at the Rams for now. I'll talk about it more. But that Stafford was supposed to have a back injury last year that just seemed to not affect him. And I think something like that has got to linger at some point or show up at some point. So,
yeah.
We'll see. I might switch that, but I'm leaving it Rams for now. Next up, we both have the Chiefs. Next up, after that, we both have the Bengals. After that, I would have taken the Raiders here if it was in Las Vegas.
Me too.
But do we have a date here?
Week 11. I don't have the date on it, so that would be
week 11 is probably mid-November.
Yeah,
early November.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's going to be 85 degrees probably in Miami.
Yeah.
So, yeah. We both have Dolphins
Dolphin home field advantage.
Yep. And then next up, I actually have the Broncos winning in Las Vegas. You had the Broncos winning in Denver. But then you have the Raiders at home that week. We both got the Chiefs Black Friday game. And then Buccaneers, I have Raiders. You have Bucks.
I just think the Raiders are going to be a really tough out at home. Going across the country to Tampa, I think it's going to be tough.
They go to Miami, home. Kansas City is a pretty far flight for them too. And then to
this
Tampa.
is a brutal stretch.
That's a lot of travel there.
Stretch for them.
But then after that, we have Falcons at home. We both are taking the Raiders there, and then luckily they don't have to go to Jacksonville.
Yeah.
But they got the Jaguars at home. I'm taking the Jaguars here. You got the Raiders. I think Trevor Lawrence slides that this year. I like him a lot.
I know. I just needed to get the Raiders another win or two. Like that's why I went with the Raiders here. Because I was like, I think Trevor Lawrence will pull it out, but like the Raiders, I don't have enough wins for them here.
Yeah. And then we both got the Raiders versus the Saints, and then we both have the Chargers week 18. And I think that takes me to 6-11 for them.
7-10. We both got them at 7-10.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think that's about right. But I mean, I think perfect scenario they can be 9-8. I think worst case scenario they're 5-12.
I think that sounds fair.
I think that's about where this team is.
You play to win the game. Hello? You play to win the game. You don't play to just play it.